The morning mist clung to the ancient forest like a shroud, and through it moved shadows that had ruled these lands for millennia. Kestra's amber eyes swept across the valley below, her massive form perfectly still atop the rocky outcrop. At nearly 12 feet tall when standing, she was the largest of her kind, a shadowclaw, apex predator of the northern reaches. Her species had dominated these mountains for over 10,000 years. With retractable claws that could slice through stone, hide thick enough to deflect spears, and intelligence that rivaled the smaller prey species, the shadowclaws had never known fear. They hunted in coordinated packs, communicated through subsonic growls that could carry for miles, and possessed an almost supernatural ability to track prey across vast distances. Below in the valley, Kestra could see the newest arrivals to her territory. The bipedal creatures had appeared 3 seasons ago, small and seemingly defenseless. Initially, her pack had dismissed them as insignificant, another prey species to occasionally hunt when larger game grew scarce. They had no natural weapons, no thick hide, no impressive speed. What threat could such fragile beings pose? But something had changed. The humans, as they called themselves, had proven to be unlike any prey the Shadowclaws had encountered. They worked together in ways that seemed almost impossible, creating tools that extended their reach and amplified their strength. Worse, they learned. Every encounter with the Shadowclaws taught them something new about their predators' behavior, weaknesses, and patterns. Kestra's mate, Theron, had been the first to fall. A hunting party of humans had set an elaborate trap, using one of their own as bait. When Theron had emerged from the forest to claim what seemed like an easy kill, metal spears had launched from hidden positions. The weapons were tipped with a substance that burned like liquid fire, and Theron's legendary healing abilities had proven useless against the foreign poison coursing through his veins. The pack had retaliated, of course. They had descended upon the human settlement in the dead of night, expecting to find the same defenseless creatures they had always known. Instead, they encountered organized resistance. The humans had studied their attack patterns, fortified their dwellings, and created weapons specifically designed to counter Shadowclaw advantages. Bright lights eliminated the predator's night vision advantage, while coordinated spear formations kept them at bay. That night, Kestra had lost 3 more of her pack. Braxa, her second-in-command, had fallen to a net woven with metal threads that cut deep into her hide when she struggled. Young Vex had been brought down by a group of humans working in perfect coordination, each attacking from a different angle while others provided cover with their mysterious fire sticks that could kill from a distance. Now Kestra led the last 4 Shadowclaws in existence. Her pack had once numbered in the hundreds, spread across the mountain range in smaller hunting groups. Reports had stopped coming from the other territories weeks ago, and she knew in her bones what that silence meant. The humans had been busy. She watched as the settlement below continued to expand. What had started as a few temporary shelters had grown into a permanent town. The humans cleared forest with impossible efficiency, turning ancient hunting grounds into farmland. They brought in animals that had never existed in these mountains, creatures bred specifically for their needs, docile and predictable. The most disturbing part was how they hunted the Shadowclaws. It wasn't driven by hunger or territorial disputes, as was natural. The humans seemed to hunt them for the sake of elimination itself, as if they couldn't tolerate sharing the world with another apex predator. They had even developed specialized tracking techniques, following the Shadowclaws' scent trails and studying their territorial markings to predict their movements. Kestra's remaining pack members, Zarek, Naya, and Old Corvus, had grown increasingly desperate. They spoke of abandoning their ancestral territory, fleeing to the barren peaks where prey was scarce but humans had not yet ventured. But Kestra knew that would only delay the inevitable. The humans were expanding everywhere, and they brought their knowledge with them. Today's safe haven would become tomorrow's battlefield. As she contemplated their impossible situation, Kestra heard the distant sound of human voices echoing through the valley. They were coming, and they were numerous. The hunt was about to begin again, but this time, she realized with grim certainty, it would be the last. She called to her pack with a low, rumbling growl that spoke of defiance and sorrow in equal measure. Zarek emerged from the forest below, his dark fur scarred from recent encounters. Naya padded silently across the rocks, her movements still graceful despite the exhaustion that plagued them all. Corvus, the eldest among them, approached with the wisdom of countless hunts reflected in his weathered features. They had been the perfect predators, evolved over millennia to dominate their environment. Their strength, speed, and intelligence had made them nearly invincible. But evolution had not prepared them for an enemy that could adapt faster than they could, that could share knowledge instantly across vast distances, that could create tools to overcome any natural advantage. The humans had proven to be something entirely new in the natural order, a species that didn't simply adapt to their environment but actively reshaped it to suit their needs. They were apex predators of a different kind, and there was no room in their world for the ancient rulers of the mountains. Kestra looked at her pack one final time, seeing in their eyes the same realization she had come to accept. They were no longer the hunters. They had become the hunted, and the hunt was nearly over. The voices grew closer, accompanied by the sound of metal on metal and the steady rhythm of organized movement. Kestra raised her massive head toward the sky and released a howl that carried across the mountains, a sound of mourning for what was ending, and a final declaration of what they had once been. In the valley below, the humans paused at the sound, recognizing it for what it was, the death song of a species that had once been gods among the mountains, now reduced to a handful of survivors making their last stand against the dawn of a new age. The age of humans had begun, and there was no place in it for the Shadowclaws.